In the vast, sun-scorched landscapes of the Horn of Africa, at the turn of the 20th century, one man's voice rose above the winds of colonial ambition. His name was Sayyid Mohammed Abdullah Hassan, a poet, a scholar, and a warrior who would lead one of the longest and bloodiest anti-colonial struggles in African history. This is the story of the Dervish War, a 20-year fight for faith, freedom, and sovereignty against the might of the British Empire. Our story begins in 1899. The scramble for Africa was in full swing, and the Somali territories were carved up between Britain, Italy, and Ethiopia. The British established a protectorate over the northern coast, primarily to secure a supply of meat for their garrison in Aden, across the sea. To them, the interior was just a vast, untamable land. But to the Somali people, it was their home, a land of ancient traditions, nomadic life, and deep Islamic faith. Into this tense environment stepped Sayyid Mohammed Abdullah Hassan. Born in 1856, he was a man of immense charisma and intellect. He had traveled widely, studying religion in the great Islamic centers of Harar and Mecca. When he returned to his homeland, he was horrified by what he saw. He viewed the Christian colonizers as infidels who were corrupting Somali society and undermining their Islamic way of life. He saw collaboration with them as a betrayal of faith. Inspired by his religious convictions, the Sayyid began to preach a message of purification and resistance. He called on his followers to cast off foreign rule and return to a pure form of Islam. He was a master orator and a gifted poet, and his words resonated deeply with the nomadic clans. His followers became known as the Dervishes, a term referring to a member of a Muslim religious order. They were not just an army, they were a movement, united by a powerful spiritual and nationalist cause. The Sayyid declared a holy war, a jihad, against the British. He famously wrote to the British consul, "I wish to rule my own country and protect my own religion." This wasn't a request, it was a declaration. The Dervishes were not a conventional army. They were highly mobile, using the harsh terrain to their advantage. They were masters of guerrilla warfare, launching lightning-fast raids on British outposts, disrupting trade routes, and then melting back into the arid landscape. Their primary military force was their cavalry, renowned for its speed and ferocity. The British, with their powerful but slow-moving infantry, were completely unprepared for this kind of warfare. They vastly underestimated the Sayyid, initially dismissing him as a mad mullah. This nickname, meant to belittle him, utterly failed to capture the strategic genius and political savvy of the man they were fighting. He was a master of diplomacy, skillfully navigating the complex web of clan alliances to build a broad base of support. He established a state with its own administration, its own capital, and a formidable military. The British launched 4 major military expeditions against the Dervishes between 1900 and 1904. Each one ended in frustration, if not outright failure. In one infamous battle at Gumburu, a British force was nearly wiped out, a shocking defeat that sent ripples all the way back to London. The Dervishes proved to be a formidable and resilient foe. Their knowledge of the land, their motivation, and their leaders' brilliant tactics made them almost impossible to pin down. Frustrated by their inability to defeat the Dervishes on the ground, the British decided to change tactics. They armed rival Somali clans, turning the conflict into a devastating civil war. This policy caused immense suffering among the Somali people, leading to widespread famine and social breakdown. The British also withdrew to the coast, essentially ceding control of the interior to the Sayyid for a time, a period known as the Anarchy. During this time, the Sayyid consolidated his power. He established his capital at Taleh, a massive complex of stone forts in the heart of the Nugal Valley. These forts were engineering marvels, designed to withstand modern artillery. Taleh became the symbol of Dervish power and defiance, the heart of their independent state. From here, the Sayyid continued to direct his campaign, sending letters and poems that served as both propaganda and inspiration, rallying his followers and taunting his enemies. The First World War brought a new dimension to the conflict. The dervishes were seen by the British as a potential ally of the Ottoman and German empires, a dangerous fourth front in their global war. The British could no longer tolerate this thorn in their side. The time had come, they decided, to end the dervish resistance once and for all. And for that, they turned to a new and terrifying weapon, the airplane. In early 1920, the brand new Royal Air Force, or RAF, was deployed to Somaliland. It was one of the first times air power was used in a colonial conflict. A squadron of de Havilland DH 9 bombers was sent with a clear mission to break the dervish stronghold at Taleh and capture or kill the Sayyid. The attack was swift and devastating. The dervishes, who had never seen an airplane before, had no defense against bombs dropped from the sky. The great forts of Taleh, which had been built to withstand ground attacks, were reduced to rubble in a matter of days. The dervish forces were scattered, their morale shattered. The Sayyid himself narrowly escaped, forced to flee into the Ogaden Desert. The air campaign had accomplished in a few weeks what ground troops had failed to do in 20 years. The dervish state collapsed. The Sayyid, now a fugitive, continued to evade capture, but his movement was broken. He died later that year, not in battle, but from influenza. His death marked the end of the Dervish War. The legacy of Sayyid Mohammed Abdullah Hassan is complex and profound. To the British, he was the Mad Mullah, a fanatical rebel. But to Somalis, he is a national hero, a father of the nation. He was one of the first African leaders to forge a national identity based on a shared culture and religion to fight against colonial rule. His poetry is still studied and recited today, a powerful testament to his vision and his struggle. The Dervish War left deep scars on the land and its people, with estimates suggesting that nearly a third of northern Somalia's population perished during the conflict. Yet, it also planted the seeds of modern Somali nationalism. The story of the Sayyid and his 20-year fight against one of the world's greatest empires is a powerful reminder of the enduring human spirit in the face of overwhelming odds, a fight for freedom that continues to inspire generations. Thanks for watching. If you found this story compelling, please hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next dive into history. See you next time.